Episode 279, how Peter, a top Amazon seller, seven-figure seller based in Shanghai, scaled and grown his business, leveraging service providers and various services.
Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business is broken down into straight-up, actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
Thank you, everyone, for choosing to download and listen to this show. Getting interesting feedback on last America Hate show, but that's what we're trying to do here. Trying to do things differently and give different perspectives and get some people riled up and interested in talking. Maybe we'll get a cash rebate on this whole trade war stuff. Probably going to be in Bloomberg soon. Been talking to them. I think I mentioned in some of the shows. Might have some pretty interesting articles of my perspective and try to represent the people I talk to on this show and in the audience. So, just keeping things real. Putting them out as they are. Been back here in Chiang Mai a little bit, catching up on rest. There's been a lot of stuff going on. We have an amazing guest today, Peter Chiang. He's a seven-figure seller based in Shanghai, China. Regular listener to the show and supporter. Came out to the Cross-Border Summit, has been supporting there and a lot of other events in the community and connecting with so many different people. He's an amazing person to know and become a friend of mine, and got quite a lot of time spending together at the various things happening at the trade show season. So I'm really happy he was able to come on the show. We actually recorded in person at the Global Sources Summit in Hong Kong, kind of the last leg of this insane few weeks down in South China. And again, he was very supportive of the event and came out to the Cross-Border Summit and everything. And I really do appreciate it. It was a great time, and I'm glad we got to record in person. I tried to do some of these shows in person. Some, of course, are on Skype or Zoom or online, or all these different ways of recording online. Some of these even by telephone, like with my Uncle Gary, which people like that show. But today we thought Peter would just kind of share. He has no staff, no VAs, and he's a seven-figure seller. But he does leverage a lot of these services, and he gives shout-outs and mentions some that he uses. No affiliation there, and just kind of giving us all some insights of maybe what services you could look at, what kind of options you have, and how you can grow your own business. So without further ado, let's get Peter onto the show. Do you want to join some other business leaders in the cross-border community? We're doing a New Year's retreat in Thailand, right here in Chiang Mai, January 3rd, 4th, 5th, a 3-day weekend, mastermind roundtables. I'll be sharing some of my insights of how I manage my online team and other tools that I've been sharing on various member calls. You can check it out and learn more. It's a very reasonable deal, especially if you're a GFA VIP member. Check it out at www.globalfromasia.com/retreat. All right, so we're here in Hong Kong at the Global Sources Summit, and it's been an intense couple of weeks. And I've been spending a lot of time with Peter Chiang. He's a seven-figure Amazon seller based in Shanghai. What's your background, Peter?
Hey Mike, thanks for having me on the show. Before we get into that, I wanted to congratulate you on your successful event in Guangzhou last week. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks so
Meeting
much.
people and great content from all the speakers.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you saw it still taking some medicine, just exhausting.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. It was great.
It feels great. The after part, all the new friends and connections.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Definitely, really good.
Great. So yeah, I mean, we've chatted before,
Yes.
and you came to the previous summit and everything. I appreciate that, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit more the last week or two.
Yep.
So you're based in Shanghai.
That's right.
I heard actually Chris Davey told me you even have some Mongolian business.
Yeah, totally unrelated to e-commerce, but that's from my old work that I used to do, and I'm still doing that a bit. But I want to focus more on e-commerce and sort of get out of that.
Okay. Yeah, e-commerce is where it's at, and you've been growing over the past. Well, how many years you've been selling?
First started at the end of 2017.
Okay.
So that's only been 2 years, but compared to a normal business, it's like doing 4 or 5 years in any other business. So it's been really intense.
It's true. So that's pretty fast. So today we're going to talk about making money utilizing all these service providers.
Right.
They're of course at a lot of our conferences. They're in the content online and all different places. And I think you as a seller utilizing these different services, we could get some insights for listeners about how you are working with them and the different ways to make the most of these relationships, right?
Definitely, yeah. Just to let everyone know, I'll be mentioning some of the service companies that I work with, and I don't have any affiliate links or anything, so it's just purely what I think of them, and I don't get anything out of mentioning them.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's really great. I mean, same here. We just try to build a community, help each other, and share knowledge.
Maybe I can speak a bit about my background and where I want to go, and that will help
I'd love to
influence
hear that myself too.
the decisions of why I pick certain service companies or not.
Okay, great.
So in the recent years in the business I've been doing, I've been managing a lot of people, and that's been a large part of my work, which is okay, but I wanted to have a break from that now. So basically, in the business, I don't have any VAs, I don't have any employees, it's just myself. A lot of the services, as we'll be talking about now, I do pay people to do things for me. But it's a little bit unusual, I think, anyone who's doing 7 figures to have no VAs or anything, but it's just how I want to do it for now. Maybe later I can try to get some more people on board, but so far just working with these companies has been sufficient, and I'm enjoying it, so it's good.
That's good to know, just the background. I mean, I think maybe it's a good point to even bring up. You still don't have even VAs or staff, but how long were you working on this before you even had a service provider?
Well, I think just even from the beginning, I was already using a service. I used a sourcing agent.
Okay.
So right from that's the first step
right
for
from
everyone.
The beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had someone initially.
Okay.
But if we take it back a step, I think people will pay someone else to do a service for 2 main reasons. One is to save time, and the other is they can get something from that company where they don't have the skill or the ability to get a certain level of a result that they want.
Okay.
So for me, it's basically deciding one or the other, but it's mainly the skill of the item that I need done that I feel that I'm not good enough, so I get someone else.
Okay, which is good. I mean, you have this being humble, right? That's realizing what you're good at, what you're not good at. You're not trying to do everything yourself.
Exactly.
I skipped a question, but you even use a sourcing agent, but you're based in Shanghai. So I think that's even interesting for listeners. That you're in China. Most of your products are even here, right?
Yeah.
They're made in China, but you're still working with his agents. Maybe you can even explain why.
Yeah. So if we take it back a step, the way I'll select a service company, the best way for me is if someone whose opinion I respect recommends that service company. And if not, then I'll just do the research, whatever I can do on the various blogs or WeChat groups or whatever. And actually being at your conference was good, because 2 of the companies I was considering working with, I didn't tell them I was going to consider working with them, but I got to spend time with them and hear a bit of how they felt certain things were done and how they did things, and it helped convince me, and I'll be mentioning them later.
Exciting.
So the first step of the sourcing company was actually one of my friends was using them.
I see.
So that's why I use them. Then recently now though, I'm confident enough to do my own sourcing. So either trade fairs or Alibaba or things like that. So I do that by myself. So that's one thing I do on my own. Maybe I can talk about other things I do which are important.
Sure.
Some people outsource that I don't outsource.
Yeah, okay. I'd love to hear what you don't outsource or you don't work with an agency on.
Yep. So customer service, basically replying to questions, maybe checking the reviews, writing comments on those. I know that's something you can very easily outsource, but I personally like having the interaction with the customers, getting a real hands-on feel of what people are saying, what they think about our products. I know you can get a VA to do that and download the reports, but I just personally really like doing that. And if I'm online, I'll always give that my top priority. Like if I see someone's written a question or a comment, I'll just go straight into the email and reply to them.
You use the app on your phone, or are you using email?
I do use the app on my phone, but if I reply to them, I usually want to use my computer because often there are attachments or things that I need to send to them.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so that's one thing, the customer service. One thing which many people will find unusual is I do my own quality checks as well.
I was going to bring that up when you said sourcing. I was going to separate QC and...
I don't know anyone actually that does their own quality checks, but I'm trying to get the factories that I work with close to Shanghai, so I can go there within 2 hours. And if there's a big shipment or we're doing a new product, I will definitely be spending more time with them. And I know some people are saying, "Oh, you're wasting your time. You could get, any quality company to do that." But while I'm there, I'm also building my relationship with the owner, with the ladies who are doing the sales support, even the factory staff. They recognize me now. They'll smile at me.
Okay.
And you never know when they're doing putting something together. Oh, this is for that guy that visits, and he seems like a nice guy, So I think it all adds up, and it helps.
True.
Yeah.
Well, I could respond to that part.
Sure.
I guess maybe it's my own personality, but I don't deal good with conflict. So I would just be concerned maybe that the quality might not be acceptable, and if it's you as the buyer, the direct buyer, saying no, because some people even say when you're negotiating on like Alibaba to say you're a staff,
Right.
and then you can use your boss or the owner as the bad guy, and you're the good guy.
Yep.
But you are the end buyer, you are the decision maker.
Yep.
So I would almost imagine there must have been some cases where you had to make some hard...
Definitely. And I can give you an example of one. One of my products has many pieces in them, and it was getting up to 10 to 20% of the pieces were having problems. And I was saying, you can't use those, you got to take them out. And I was saying, you're costing us a lot of money. Other customers don't complain about this. So I said, who are your other customers? Show me your other customers. Tell me their brands. And I went online with them and looked on Amazon. And I said, look at all these bad reviews they're getting. They're getting lots of 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews. Look at mine. I'm still getting some, but not as many as those because of the care we're taking.
Yeah.
And it completely changed the way. Then they had no more complaints about that. And I think if you can try and present it in a way where it's better quality from them means less problems for me, less bad reviews, more sales for them. Once I got that across to them, they seem to be okay with it. So valid point, but I think you can get around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, and another thing that some people may not want to hear, but I feel all the time, is if you've got a QC guy going to the factory, he's going to be a Chinese guy.
Yeah.
He's going to be there all the time. He's going to feel closer to the factory than he does to you if you're on the other side of the world.
True.
And if there's a quality issue that costs the factory maybe $20,000 to fix, and they say, we'll give you $2,000, but just let this one go, it's going to be pretty, maybe a lot of guys won't accept it, but some guys will. And, there's just something I feel a little bit uncomfortable with. So
that is true.
Yeah.
Or maybe it could be them together. I know it's extra money, but they could go with you. I guess maybe for me, I still like to pay a QC even if I'm in China or I'm there, because I guess I deal bad with comfort. I think you probably can get to know me. I don't like to have those harder talks, so then I can have them be the bad guy and I'm like the good guy and I'm working with them.
Yeah. In my career, I've had a lot of situations where you have to deal with uncomfortable. I also dislike conflict a lot. I'll walk away from it if I can. But there's been many situations where I just couldn't walk away, so I can deal with it. So it's okay. But to be honest, I've had very few difficult situations. I think once you get them on board with your mentality, if they're the right partner, then it's not so difficult. Just with a bit of discussion, you can resolve the issues.
Okay. It's exciting.
So Quality
So
checks.
that's something you don't outsource or
No,
don't work with
and I don't plan
companies.
to. One thing I do on my own now is PPC, and that was very difficult at first trying to understand it because it is a very
It is
technical
overwhelming.
thing. And I spent a lot of unnecessary money at the beginning, like a tuition fee. And I feel I'm pretty good at that now. But that said, I know the guys who run the agencies, they know way more than I do technically. So I'm actually discussing with some different people
True.
to work with them.
I could feel PPC is always changing, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have to really be focused on it.
Yes.
Or have somebody, whether it's you as an operator or somebody on your team that would be
Yep.
always following the updates.
Yes, and something I came to realize recently, it's not exactly a cost because it is a cost, but if you say you're paying someone $200 a month, they probably will end up saving you $500 a month or helping you gain more $500 a month through their optimization of the bids and things like that, right?
Yep. Thanks.
So I'm very seriously now looking at outsourcing
Okay.
outsourcing the PPC.
Are there other ones you currently?
So one thing, I don't do any social media. I just do everything 100% on Amazon. And one of my products is a lot of people want to post about it. So I'm wasting my opportunity by not having something set up. So I'm looking now to start an Instagram account and maybe hire someone to run that for me.
Okay.
So that's something I'm considering. Yeah.
I agree. That is also a lot of time and energy. So
So do you want to move on to
so let's
the service companies?
let's go through some of the services and the
Yep.
companies you're using. That'd be
So
exciting.
we've already said there's the sourcing agent, so we've talked about that. I think when you're selling, the most important part of a listing is the images. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people will agree with that. So
We almost joke it's like the Tinder for e-commerce. You're just swiping through pictures on mobile.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So that's really important. You've got to do that. So what I do is I have a photo taken of the product, and then I send it to a service who uses photoshopping, and it looks so real that you can't tell. Well, at least I can't tell. I think most people can't tell that it's been photoshopped. It looks like they're actually using the product, and it's just absolutely unbelievable the results that we've been getting. And I've been using Amazing Freedom.
Okay.
I don't know if you know. That's Liran and Andy, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely amazing results. I recently did an update with them of a product, and my sales definitely went up like 20% or something because the images were absolutely amazing, better
Great.
than any of my competitors.
That's really great.
So even before, when I first started, I just took a photo with my camera, which you're not supposed to do, but I was just starting out, so I was just trying
Sure,
it.
sure.
And I sent it to one of these services for doing images, and they did some photoshopping and things, and it was still pretty good. So definitely that, I can't do that myself. I can't do images to that level. So that's one.
So, okay, so that's great. Yeah, of course, images are really important. So just so I understand, you're still taking the photo with this physical product and then sending it to them?
That's right, but I'm not using my phone anymore. I'm using a professional photographer for that.
Okay, and then are they local?
Yeah, I found a guy, Victor. Shout out to Victor. He's in Shenzhen.
Okay,
Very reasonable prices and excellent quality. So
Great.
So that's been good.
Okay, which is good. So you're in Shanghai, you can send it to Shenzhen. So it's domestic shipping, fast, like couple days.
Yeah, but even so, I recently I did he did a photo shoot for me, but I physically went there.
Oh, nice.
And so we could talk exactly, do you want this a bit more on this angle and such and such. So
okay.
they came out perfectly. It was absolutely amazing.
And then he'll just give you the raw images in obviously high resolution, probably pretty big, and you send it over to Amazing Freedom.
Exactly.
And then they'll Photoshop, touch-ups,
Yep.
adding backgrounds, adding infographic.
It's really good. They give you options. They say, do you want infographics? Do you want it this style? Do you want more serious, more funny? They give you all these options, and the results are amazing. They've improved a lot this year. They were really good last year, but I don't know what they're doing different. But it's just amazing. You can go and check out their website.
Okay,
It's
sure.
really
We'll
impressive.
put it in the show notes.
Yep.
And so, of course, yeah. So that's images,
Yep.
which is, of course, very important for either launching or improving your listing.
Right. I believe it's the most important. I think a lot of people do as well. It's the most important part of a listing.
Okay.
Yeah. Then probably next is the copywriting.
Yeah.
So I believe a lot of people don't read the copy. But two important factors there. One is you got to have the right keywords in there. So even if they're not reading, you still have the right content. And the people that do read it, they're probably the guys who are pretty close to buying. So it's really got to be good. And I've worked with a couple of companies before, wasn't super impressed with their services. But at your conference and at this conference, Emma, Marketing by Emma,
Yep.
I think she's got the right idea. I've seen some of the things that she's done, so I'll be using her for my next
Awesome.
my next listing. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, Emma's amazing. So it's happy to hear that. And
The next one I would say is that I used is a trademark company called I think Trademark Angel. I can't remember. So it's one of those things you can do by yourself. A lot of people try to do by yourself, but I think it's worth paying the extra money just to make sure it's done correctly and you don't lose the extra time. So that's another service that I've used.
okay.
Then suspensions, CJ, of
Yeah,
course.
I know CJ.
So this is another thing I think you can possibly do by yourself, but if you're new to Amazon and you don't have experience, at least the first time you definitely should hire someone that knows what they're doing, because if you don't do it right, you can get suspended and not have a chance to come back. So at least the first time, get some experience by hiring someone else to do
Yeah,
it for
those
you.
are scary, and obviously it's the fast. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want to cause extra delays. Definitely is important.
Right. Then just at this conference, there's a gentleman called Brandon Dupsky, and he offers a service for returns, which was very interesting. I send all my goods into Amazon, and I don't have a warehouse where I have my I don't know what you call them, unfulfilled items sent to. So he can take the items for you and resend them into Amazon or sell them on eBay. So whereas before I was getting zero for these items, now I can get something. So I'm probably going to use his service for that.
Yeah, I think it's called RMA, Return Merchandise
Right.
Authorization is the industry keyword. Also, sometimes they say it's better to tell the customer to send it somewhere so that they actually have to take a little bit of a step, not just get the money back. I know a lot of sellers just say, "Oh, we'll just give you a refund, no problem, don't
Yep.
worry."
Right.
But you also want to make sure that you're receiving it and checking it. I mean, yeah, he talked in his presentation about there are a lot of fraud with buyers. They
Yes,
just send you some.
that's terrible, but yeah, it happens. You got to deal with it. Yeah.
So this can also help you save money, prevent people from cheating you. So
Yep.
it's definitely important.
Yep. Next one is this is a big one that I think you have to use someone's service. You can't do this on your own. So I've been selling in the US for 2 years, and now I'm starting to go into Europe. And I'm joining this program called Pan EU, where you need to get the VAT of 7 countries. There's absolutely no way I think anyone could do this on their own. You have to hire a company to do that. So there's different companies that offer this type of service. And on all the WeChat groups and everything, whenever you have the question, it goes out every now and then. Any suggestions for service companies that do VAT? And so many people have written their company that they use, and they say, "I hate this company."
Yeah,
almost every single company I've
I've
seen.
don't like the VAT process or the agencies.
Exactly, and there's only one company that I've heard that I haven't had these hate comments come up on the feed, and that was Avask. So they're more expensive, but I've been using them. Chris Davies using them.
Okay.
Cameron, our friend Cameron, is also using them.
Great.
And they're pretty good. They're more expensive, but I think it's worth the money.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
It's true. It's another important one that could also cause big problems later. Of
exactly.
Unexpected
Yes.
bills.
And a lot of people do have problems with those. Yeah.
Seems like Europe is looking more and more at these, and there's been a lot of loss, suspensions, and other issues
Yes.
from it.
Definitely, yeah. Then, still on the subject of Europe, so, excuse me, an important factor of going into a non-English speaking country is you've got to get the listing set up correctly.
Translations and localization.
Exactly. So, Jana was at your conference, and she's been at this conference, and she knows what she's doing. Like a lot of people who, especially I think people who only speak English, who don't speak any other languages, don't appreciate the fact that you really need to change sometimes content to match your target market. different countries have different ways of perceiving things, and the decisions they make are based on different things. But the example I like to make is if you're in the States, you're looking at a listing, it's clearly written by some person who isn't native English speaker. It could have been a Chinese person, and it really puts you off. It's the same thing for if a German person is looking at a translation that's gone through Google Translate. It'll really, if they were considering buying, it could be, if they were on the fence, it could be the thing that pushes them to not buy. So even though all these services cost money, I believe it's worth investing in because you'll get it back in the sales that you gain. So I strongly recommend Yana's company as well. I'm going to be working with her.
Great.
Yeah.
Exciting. So that was a great rundown. I think if people understand different services, understand the thought process, the decisions.
Yeah. How should people, if you want to say, how do people decide?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like
Yep.
from what I'm gathering, it seems like, of course, meeting them at these conferences, which is great. You get to listen to them, share their knowledge. You also, it seems like also you're getting referrals of friends.
Yes, for me that's the most important, but you can't always get that. Like a lot of people starting out don't know necessarily.
So yeah, okay, those are different rundowns, different services. So I guess on the decision making, of course, friend recommendations is the best. Of course, meeting them face-to-face at events. The next would you think it doesn't matter if they're like a solo freelancer? Maybe they're doing everything, they're selling and they're also fulfilling, or is it these bigger agencies that have teams? Is there any thought process, like you have the photographer, I'm not sure if this person's a one-man show or if they're, does that matter to you?
For me, what's behind the service isn't such a big factor for me, it's the result.
True.
So if my friends or the people I know have said he's given me really good photos, he's done really great product listings for me, I don't need to investigate, how big is your team? I might ask out of curiosity, but it's not going to be a factor in my decision-making process. So yeah, agency or freelancer, as long as they're performing well and giving the results that we need, that's either way it's fine. But if you don't have any recommendations at all, probably a freelancer is not the best choice, because if you haven't, I think there's a higher risk that the result won't be as good.
I was going to kind of say, if you don't know who you're working with, and then if it's an individual, obviously that person could get sick.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times what happens with freelancers is called feast or famine. I don't know if you've heard that. The point is they're selling and they're fulfilling. So sometimes they're starving, like famine, and they're doing anything to get a client or a job or a project, but then they're so busy and sometimes they get overloaded and there's too many requests and they don't know how to scale or they don't know how to manage, and they try to do it all themselves and they burn out or they do lower their service quality.
Right.
I mean, I think that's the hard part about scaling services is, a lot of these require humans to do. I feel like a lot of things we just went through require human skill and ability. So I think agencies might be better handle scalability and service quality control before they deliver it to you as a client.
Yeah, if someone, exactly. If someone's really planning to grow fast, you can't work with a freelancer then. Yeah, you definitely have to consider a decent sized company.
I guess the other service I thought about, I don't know if they really do it, but obviously you're managing Seller Central, but some people, there are services that manage Seller Central. You mentioned PPC, but you didn't really manage. There's listing optimization, which you kind of, but you're still the one in Seller Central updating the listing.
Yes.
But they're, the copywriter is giving you the text.
Yeah.
The photographer and a photo design company is giving you the creative.
Yeah.
Do you do video?
I have done video. Actually, a while ago, Michael Hartman, who was a speaker at your thing as well. He used to do video and photography, so I used his services as well.
Okay.
Before. So, why were you asking me if I do video?
So that's kind of running down all the different parts that I could see in the process.
Yeah, but that's the same for me as photography. It's in the same boat.
Oh, you're in the bucket. So you bucket those together. So your photographer, Shenzhen, could also do video?
Yeah, it's usually that's the case.
Usually they can do
the
both.
video. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just running down. And then there's these, I think you're managing the account yourself, but there's these kind of agencies that can also manage the account. Well, you said you're replying to messages, but then there's also in PPC. I'm just trying to break down the different types of services.
I think most sellers who are doing a reasonable volume would have their VAs running Seller Central for whatever they need.
True.
So I don't launch products that frequently, so it's not a huge time factor for me when I get a new listing and I upload it. It's just a few minutes actually. So.
And everybody knows Zach Franklin. He's been on the show a couple times too.
Zach Franklin, whose shirt I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, he's wearing Panda here.
Yep.
Yeah, Peter's wearing a Panda Leap shirt right now. Maybe we'll put a quick photo of this setup on the show notes. But are you looking at your returns? Are you trying to get money back from Amazon? Are you running these reports?
Sorry, that's a service I forgot to mention.
Okay.
So returns is an important part of that. For people who don't know, refunds maybe is the more than returns. Amazon makes mistakes, and you have to find them to get the refund often. Sometimes they'll give you some refunds that they find, but apparently there's a lot of where they've lost your inventory or whatever. They need to pay you for that, and for some reason it slips through the cracks.
Exactly.
So there's different types of services you can have, and again I'm using Liran and Andy's service for that, and I've in the past 12 months I got a few $1,000s back. So
great.
And I'm only paying, I can't remember, maybe less than 100 per month. So it was definitely worth it.
That's definitely worth it.
So that's something you should for sure get outsourced. Or you can have a VA do it. So it depends. It depends what you're going to have. Yeah.
Okay. We're getting towards the end. I know there's I think we had a pretty good conversation, and we're going to get back to networking here at this in Hong Kong. Well, maybe some of the lessons you've learned. Yeah, you didn't really talk about bad. I'm sure you've had your share of bad experiences.
Yes. Well, funny you should mention that, because when we finish recording, I'm going to record with Megla, and that's going to be lessons that I've learned and things I wish I knew.
Okay, maybe
so that's another
we can
subject.
Listen to hers. Yeah, we'll link it up on the notes.
So shout out to Megla's podcast. She's just started recently.
Yeah, she just started the Asia Seller podcast.
Yeah.
I hope I got the name right. She's really just getting started. I gave her some tips as well.
Right.
Okay, we can link to that show then. Maybe just more about you and what are your goals with people listening? I really appreciate it.
Well, still on this subject, I think.
Oh, sure.
If people are thinking, how do I decide what I need to outsource, or what services should I be buying? I think maybe you take a bit of a step back and from your business and look into it and think, what am I really struggling to do? What am I not doing well? That could be, or you can ask someone who has more experience to say, can you look at how I'm running my business? How do you think I can do it better? Because if, just the images as an example, if you're doing it yourself and you're not doing a good job, you're probably hurting your sales by, I don't know what percent, but just things like that. Get someone to look at it, or you think from a higher level, and then you can make your decisions on what you need someone else to do for you.
Okay. Yeah. Great. And thanks, Peter. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
It's just been great to share.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to share probably your brand or your website. Is there ways? Would you like to connect with people? Or,
sure. If I live in Shanghai, so I'm always happy if anyone's in Shanghai. I'll meet up with them and take them out for lunch or dinner.
Okay.
Probably the easiest way to contact me is via email. So my email is Peter Peter _ Chiang Chiang.
Okay.
1000 at hotmail.com. So it really rolls off the tongue, that email address.
That's the easy one. The underscore is the harder part, but listeners can reach out to you. You're definitely a great person to connect, and
thanks.
You've been really sharing, and I'm happy to have you on our show. So I'll let you get going to your next interview, and we'll be at some more networking here in Hong Kong, and that's it.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Thanks for coming on, Peter.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you, Alpha Rock Capital. They are an ongoing partner of Global from Asia and supporting the show. And if you enjoy what you listen to and you enjoy all these things, they support the Cross Border Summit. They support me and Global from Asia, and I am a equity partner there. So I definitely recommend, if you're interested in either selling your Amazon business or investing in a acquisitions fund that will be acquiring and rolling up more and more of these Amazon companies, definitely check out alpharockcapital.com/connect. We'll get you connected with the right people on the team. I really appreciate it, Peter. Thank you for coming on and sharing. I enjoyed it, and I think listeners will too. It's just more real talk. We try to have some real insights. So it's pretty amazing now. Can't you believe people like Peter can grow these seven-figure businesses without staff or even contractors? So the world is going kind of crazy, but he does like talking to the customers, likes learning from the customers. I think that probably is the most important thing for most businesses, especially in Amazon. Listening to your feedback, listening to the questions that they have, looking at the market, understanding the landscape, your competitors, how to make yourself better. I of course talk to so many people selling online, and everybody focuses so much on like getting ranking, getting velocity, but I think the key is a quality product. I know that's boring. I know that might not be the favorite thing people like to hear, but wants to hear the hack and the strategy how to get ahead. But I think no matter how good you are on marketing, I still remember Jerry Gahn's interview where he says, you're a product first or marketing first company. I think you got to decide about that. But I think if you got a good product, of course you got to market and you got to make a good listing. Peter also shares about how he spends time, he goes with the photographer with the samples, even flies to different parts. Seems like he goes down to Shenzhen for that, but goes to different parts of China or wherever needed to actually, work really closely making quality video, quality photos, quality listings. You got to make it look good. But of course, if the product itself is not going to work well when the customer receives it, it doesn't really matter how good you did getting that person to choose and buy your product. Especially with, obviously the algorithm of Amazon or any kind of platform, they want quality products at a decent price. Maybe not the cheapest price, but a decent price to be at the top. So, for me, I'm a little bit, I'm not say opposite of Peter, but we have quite a few people on the team here. Alvin's editing this show. We have, Cheryl helping post it, LJ editing. We did the transcriptions. We're actually looking at different transcription softwares right now. We try to get a full transcript of this show online and time of production, publishing. It is difficult. It is difficult. Honestly, I'm kind of envious of Peter working with, purely service providers, so that keeps the relationship easy. You pay money for a service and the service is delivered. Whereas if you have employees or even contractors, you got to manage them. You got to keep them incentivized. Honestly, it's one of the trickiest things of dealing with humans is keeping them happy, keeping them clearly motivated and aligned with everybody's interests, making sure that everybody's on the same page. So I just do, of course, recommend, if as much as you can, keeping your overhead as low as possible. The other danger of having employees or contractors or team is you got to make sure you're always paying them, even if maybe your business's sales are down or businesses change. I think that's one thing I try to always keep the team together. I feel like that's the most important asset for a company is the team. Some might say customers. Of course, customers are important too. But if you don't have a good team to make sure that the service is delivered and the quality, result is done, then you don't really have much. But if you can get away with like what Peter's doing and have purely service providers, that is the ultimate. Because then if you don't have new products or don't have new work to do, you just don't pay for another service package or another promotion or whatever. You don't got to deal with the fixed costs or the ongoing costs or the maintenance costs of a team or a virtual team, contractors, etc. Like literally just before this posting, one of my team members wants some more work from me. I of course a pay an hourly, but even if there's no work, you don't want to just not give them work because then they might find something else to do and forget about you. So it is a tricky balance of working with employees or team members. They want to make money, they want to earn income, so you kind of gotta always have some projects for them or risk them maybe finding other things to do, which honestly has been happening even with me recently. Like maybe give some examples in my own experience. Like we have Alan Carr on our team that does our infographics and other graphics and sometimes I don't really need infographics to be made, but he's asking me for work. He doesn't, he says there's not been a project lately, so I kind of almost have to make up work, or I dig up some old posts that are ranking well in Google, and I'll say, hey, Alan Carr, okay, here you can work on this infographic. Literally, I just did that before recording the show. I gave him a project. I'll pay for that. Maybe I could have just said, oh, there's nothing right now, but then I'm afraid he might get busy elsewhere, and our relationship might fade. Another example is our IT department. Sometimes we don't have, especially maintaining all these websites. Global from Asia, it's hard to maintain a website. That's why Amazon is easier. You don't have to maintain websites, but especially WordPress, we gotten hacked a couple of times with the site. You're always updating plugins, but sometimes it's not needed, and then the web team might get busy doing other client work or other things, or look for other jobs. So literally, I'm right now having some work done by Jasper just to keep things rolling, and keep him satisfied with projects from us. It's tricky. I don't know. Maybe I'm too nice, everyone says, but I do feel by having team members, you got to keep them busy. And of course, you don't want to just have them do work for no reason. You want to do valuable work. But if you don't have them doing anything, either one, you're paying for nothing, or two, they're not going to get paid. Maybe you're not paying them if you're not working, but then they might find other projects that do pay them. So that's kind of one of the issues of having a team. I think most people listening that have managed people would agree with me. Of course, quote unquote full time, you got to keep those people with tasks, and also not just keep them motivated with tasks, but keep them incentivized to optimize their work, optimize their hours, make sure they're actually working the hours that they say they're working, or the amount of hours. It's just tricky balance of dealing with human beings. And that's why like Google and Facebook and those are so valuable, because they're high income with low amount of people relative to the size of the company. I think investors or business owners like to have companies that are highly automated, that have a less amount of human, because business owners and investors know dealing with a lot of humans, if that person quits or leaves, or if sales goes down, they can't afford this headcount, can't afford this salary, it's a risk. So it's, of course, more attractive to investors and business owners and entrepreneurs to have companies that don't need a lot of people. Because then they don't have to have so much risk of managing these people, of managing all these HR things, bonuses, payroll. It's stuff I'm always stressed out with. We have GoRemit.hk, one of our ongoing sponsors, so I use that to make payments in different countries. You don't have to have companies set up everywhere, like in the Philippines and in Vietnam and in Thailand. You can make payments there without having a bank account or a team there or a company there, but it's still just more managing payroll, managing expectations, managing amount of hours, projects. Are they delivering the amount that they're saying they're delivering? Are they happy? Are they going to stay? Are they going to find something else? This is just some of the stress I think most business owners or anybody managing people management would deal with. It's tricky. So again, back to Peter, he's got I'm a little bit envious, because he can literally just choose services, and then they're always happy because they want customers. He's a customer relationship. It's not like a manager or boss to an employee managed relationship. It's a customer. He is a customer or a client of a service provider, and that service provider has to always deliver quality, or else he can just say, hey, I'm not happy with the quality of the service, no hard feelings, but I'm going to go somewhere else. And he just switches and he just pays somebody else. He probably doesn't have long-term contracts with the services he works with, so they have to always keep up the good delivery of services to his account or his business, to keep everybody happy. So that's, I guess, one of the advantages of doing that. Of course, the biggest disadvantage is, they might be busy, they might have other clients, you might be hard to find a good service provider. But hopefully today's show helped you out in getting some new ones or getting some ideas. Of course, there's no endorsements here. It's what he uses, and I didn't sneak in any affiliate links. There were just links in the show notes. As always, we have them, and listening to others word of mouth. We've had Sermondo in the past, Christina on the show. They have a platform for helping you find services and others. Of course, Global Maze has some reviews and other things. Chris Davey has FBA4U.com, which has some different options for you. But just finding the right place for your business and the right size of the consulting company or the service provider you're working with, it is tricky. But once you find the right ones for you and they're happy and things are flowing, business can grow. So I wish you all the best and see you next week.
To get more info about running an international business, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.